Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. I figured I would bring you along. This is just water in the pot that I cleaned. And I figured I would bring you along to do a family recipe of Irish potato soup. So, let's get into it. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do, I've already peeled my potatoes. You could do like a 5-pound bag. All depends how big your family is. This can also stretch. Pretty affordable. Which used to be really affordable. This is, like I said, my Aunt Joan's recipe. And we're going to go in with 2 sticks of butter. So try to go to the best store and get the better price on the butter. With today's world crisis that's going on. So 2 sticks of butter. In the meantime, you're going to need 2 onions. And you want to chop them up. You dice them. We're going to I have it off because it was already warming up. This is kind of something that I grew up on. We didn't have it all the time because it has a lot of fat in it between the butter and the whole milk. We had it, St. Patty's Day or just maybe 2 or 3 times a year. But it's gloomy here today. It's been raining. We're due to get, I guess, some of the effects from the hurricane, which is horrible. Lots of prayers to everybody being affected by Ian, that hurricane. And I just thought, what would be better than a good bowl of soup? So I'm just switching it around. Gonna let that melt, and now let me get the onions. Okay, so you can use 3 onions or 3 medium onions. I roughly cut them earlier today, and then I just went in and I used my chopper to chop them down because they were making my eyes water something fierce. I'm going right in with the onions. Like I said, this is a simple soup. Everybody does it different. I'm making it the way that my aunt made it. You could also do a little bit of bacon to top the soup off. So there's the 2 sticks of butter and the onion. We are going to put it on. And we're going to start. We're not going to caramelize the onions. We're going to get them to just where they're translucent. So I'm going to go in with some salt. I'll go in with some pepper in a little bit. Now, let's grab the celery. You want celery and you want to get that chopped. So I am using homegrown celery. This has been in the fridge. We're going to separate it, wash it, and we're going to make it about the same type of dice that the onion is. So basically just want to give this a little stir. Get the onions all incorporated into the butter. And then we're going to let that cook for a few, and then we're going to go in with our celery. Okay, so you can see, hopefully, that the onions are just very clear, very white. You can now go in with your celery. I did about 6 to 8, about 6 stalks of celery. It's also like cleaning out your fridge. I didn't want to waste any of my homegrown celery. So I chopped that up, and now we're going to put that in. I have the exhaust fan on in case you hear it. Everybody's recipe is different when it comes to the soup. This is just how I make it, and it's so good. So, used up some of my onions, finished up my celery that was inside the fridge because the rest I powdered, and the only thing else is the 2 sticks of butter. We're going to saute up that celery. We already used a teaspoon of salt, and we'll go in with pepper in a little bit. So I'm going to use up some of my Idaho potatoes. I already peeled them and washed them, and now I'm just going to chunk them. I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. Okay, so let me just show you the size of the potatoes. This is how I'm chunking them because they still do have to cook in here, and you want to have a pretty hearty type of soup. So this is just how I'm cutting them, and I'm just waiting for the celery to cook down a little bit, and then we're going to go in with the potatoes. Okay, so you can see how clear even the celery's looking. I'm going to go in with my pepper now. Grind up some more. Good handful or a tablespoon of pepper. You want this to have flavor. Now, like I said, you can fry up a couple pieces of bacon in the beginning, use the bacon grease, but you still have to, we'll drain some of the bacon grease off, but you still have to use the butter because that's what makes it, and save some of that bacon for the very end. I do have bacon. I don't think I'm going to end up frying any up because I also want to keep this as an affordable soup. So went in with the pepper. I do have garlic confit left, but I'm not going to use it. I'm just going to go in with some of my homegrown garlic powder. 1. 2 tablespoon. Just going to go in with a little bit of onion powder because we have plenty of onion in there. Got it. Tablespoon. It's worth. And we're going to give that a mix. Mix it all in. You can use some celery powder too if you want. Give it a little bit of extra celery flavor. Stir this all in. It's looking good. And now we are going to go in and dump all of our potatoes in. This is about a 5-pound bag. If you're looking at it store-wise, it'd be about a 5-pound bag. I want to use up a couple of my Idaho potatoes from my garden that I could not store because it may have had a mark or a blemish or something like that. But I went in with a little bit extra because I am Irish and I love extra potatoes. You see my chunks? Pretty big, healthy chunks. A few more. Throw in there. Like I said, it's an Irish potato soup. Okay, there's our potatoes. Now, I've never seen my aunt do it, but you can add chicken broth to start cooking your potatoes. I've just never really done it like that. I've always just used the milk, and then when I got foamy on the top, I just would scoop it off. But the original recipe, my Aunt Joan never used chicken broth. You could put chives at the very end on the top of your bowl. We'll see if I feel like venturing out to the kitchen herb garden. Unless I have some chives inside, but if I want some fresh ones, I'd have to go out there and go cut some out of the kitchen herb garden. Just as a little garnish on the top, or just for some flavor. You can also put some scallions in. These are my homegrown scallions right there. Scallions, however you want to say them. You want to put a few in right now. You don't have to. I never did it before. Just a little bit, and then you can add some in your bowl when your soup is done. And let's see. I'm going to go in with a little bit of parsley right across the top, and that is pretty much about it. If I forgot anything, I'll let you know, but I really don't think so. You can even use some celery seed, but we just never did. But however you like it, that's how you make it. So I'm just letting the potatoes absorb the butter, mixing up the onions and the celery together. I'm gonna let this go for about 4 minutes, and then we're gonna get ready to add our milk, and it's gonna be whole milk, my friends. I guess you can substitute it. Like I said, you can use some chicken broth to cook these potatoes up, and then go in with your cream. So I'm just gonna let these cook for a few minutes, and just not much more to it. We'll add the milk, and it'll just simmer. I decided why not, since I have homegrown celery powder, that I'm going to put a teaspoon or a tablespoon in there. Look at that deliciousness. Homegrown, it's all dehydrated. About a teaspoon and a half. Because why not? And let's give it a toss. Smells so good. Okay, let me get the milk and everything ready. We're gonna put that in, and yeah, it's basically gonna cook the potatoes. So let me grab that. We're just gonna let this cook for another like 4 minutes. Okay, let me turn that fan off so you can actually hear. I'll back you up a little bit. I did just put, because if you know I have a lot of herbs, I did put 1 sprig of, like I just swiped it down, of rosemary and just a little pinch of chives. Now here we go. We're going in. Full fat milk. Fill her on up. Let me give it a stir in first real quick. Oh, look at that. Glorious. So you do use a whole gallon of milk, 2 to 3 sticks of butter, but it's worth it. It can feed a lot of people, and it's very, very tasty. And now we're going to let this come to a simmer, and it will cook the potatoes. So bring it back, show you what that looks like. Okay, I just want to tell you this real fast. Another key point to the soup is you don't want it to boil with the milk, of course. The other point here is, because this is what we're going to have for dinner tonight, you'll have plenty of broth. You can always go in and add more potatoes into it, so you can get multiple meals out of this. It's pretty affordable. Milk, butter, celery, onions, seasoning. And like I said, you can do some bacon on the top. I'm not. It's just one of those days, and I just thought I would share my Aunt Joan's recipe on her Irish potato soup. So I'm just standing here, just giving it a stir. You don't want to scald the milk, but you want your potatoes to actually cook. So when this is done and I'm ready to dish it out, I will bring it back. As you can see, it's just at a light simmer. I've just been stirring it. Then, in order to know if it's done, and don't forget, you'll have leftovers, I'm sure. You can always add more potato into it. You want the potato to be soft, where the knife goes straight through the potato. Always make sure to check a couple potatoes, not just one. See? Goes right in. So let me get this plated up, or bowled up, I should say, because I'm looking forward to it. I haven't made this in a pretty long time. And like I said, it can feed a lot. It is fattening big time with the milk, the butter, and you'll have a broth. You can always peel potatoes. You can pre-cook them and put them in there, and you can get this to feed your family for a good couple nights. And it's good for a really chilly day. It doesn't have to be just for St. Patty's Day. You can also make Irish potato bread to serve with the soup, so you could stop it in there, or some soda bread. I don't usually do that when I'm in a mood for my aunt's Irish potato soup. This is exactly how I do it, and nothing more, nothing less. Some things don't need too much more in there. So this, like I said, is done, and I'm going to get a bowl and serve some up. Okay, as I'm serving this up, I just want to show you again. The knife goes right into the potatoes, nice and soft. They're cooked perfect. There you have it. That's what it looks like, and I'm just going to go in with a little couple pieces of chives right on the top of mine, and that's it. I'm ready to chow down on some Irish potato soup. That was my Aunt Joan's. So I hope you enjoyed this recipe. And yeah, like, share, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye, everyone.